What if the walls of Egypt's most sacred tombs were not just a record of the past, but warnings for the future? In chambers sealed for millennia, archaeologists have found carvings that defy explanation, images of flying craft, sleek underwater vessels, and strange codes buried in the hieroglyphs. At first, they were dismissed as coincidences, mistakes, the random layering of symbols from different dynasties. But a growing number of researchers believe they may be something else entirely, an encoded message left for a time when humanity could finally understand it. And when that message was decoded, it led not just to the skies, but beyond our world altogether. From the shadowed halls of the Temple of Osiris to the windswept sands of Saqqara, the story we're about to uncover may rewrite everything we thought we knew about ancient Egypt, and perhaps our own origins. Egypt, the land of gods and pharaohs, where monuments to eternity rise from the desert and the afterlife is written in stone. For over 3,000 years, the Egyptians filled their temples and tombs with scenes of daily life, battles, offerings, and the sacred journey to the next world. But among these timeless images are a few that simply don't belong. Shapes and symbols that seem out of place in the world of chariots and sails, objects that look eerily like aircraft, submarines, and even futuristic machines. Some say they are nothing more than artistic flourishes. Others believe they are the surviving fragments of a lost technology, preserved in the one place no invader could erase, the walls of their most sacred sites. Today, we'll explore three of the most baffling cases: the helicopter carvings of the Temple of Osiris, a numerical code that may link ancient Egypt to the planet Mars, and a small wooden artifact whose aerodynamic design has stunned engineers. And when we reach the end, we'll reveal a possibility so chilling, it could change the way we read history forever. The Temple of Osiris helicopter carvings. Deep in the Temple of Osiris, carved into the sandstone over 2,000 years ago, lies a panel of hieroglyphs that shouldn't exist. Look closely, and you'll see shapes that seem impossible for the time. A sleek craft with a clear tail rudder. A streamlined vessel, as if designed to glide beneath the waves. And perhaps the most unsettling of all, the unmistakable outline of a helicopter. Egyptologists studying these carvings at first dismissed them as coincidences or the result of overlapping inscriptions from different eras, a process known as palimpsest. But to others, this was no accident. How could ancient artisans, working centuries before the age of flight, produce such detailed shapes? Were these simply symbolic, or blueprints passed down from a time we've forgotten? For believers in the ancient technology theory, the resemblance is too precise to ignore. For skeptics, it's a case of our modern minds projecting what we want to see. But here's where it gets stranger. Beneath the helicopter panel is a small, easily overlooked set of hieroglyphs. Not animals. Not gods. Numbers. Symbols that repeat in a pattern. A pattern that, when decoded, points towards something far more cryptic than a flying machine. And according to one researcher, it's a message meant for us. The hidden number code. When Egyptologist Dr. Ruth Hover first photographed the helicopter panel, she noticed something almost everyone else had missed: an arrangement of symbols tucked into the corner, half buried in the stone's weathered surface. At first glance, they seemed ordinary, but when she counted them, there were 9. Always 9. In ancient Egyptian numerology, 9 was the number of completion, the highest single digit, often linked to the gods. But in Dr. Hover's research, it held another connection, one found not on Earth, but in the night sky. 9 is also the number historically associated with Mars. Some ancient cultures saw it as the 9th sphere in the heavens. Could this be a cosmic reference? Dr. Hover asked the question others avoided. Did we come from Mars? Or was Mars a waypoint, somewhere our ancestors reached before us? To the mainstream academic world, this was speculation bordering on fantasy. But in the eyes of alternative historians, it was the first piece of a larger puzzle, one in which the Egyptians may have been leaving clues not just about their gods, but about our own origins. And as strange as this may sound, the Mars code wouldn't be the only ancient artifact pointing toward advanced, possibly extraterrestrial knowledge. Because hundreds of miles away, buried near Egypt's oldest step pyramid, archaeologists found something else. small, carved from wood, and impossibly ahead of its time. The Saqqara Bird and Aerodynamic Mystery. In 1898, while excavating a vast burial complex near Egypt's oldest step pyramid, archaeologists unearthed a small wooden object, just 14 centimeters long. At first, it was catalogued as a simple bird carving, a ceremonial trinket, perhaps a child's toy. But decades later, engineers began to notice something strange. This was no ordinary bird. Its wings were flat, not curved like a real bird's. The tail wasn't spread like feathers. It was vertical, like the rudder of an aircraft. The artifact's aerodynamic shape was so precise that modern tests showed it could glide through the air. In fact, when a replica was built 5 times larger, it soared over the desert with surprising stability until one critical flaw emerged: there was no horizontal tailplane. Then came the breakthrough. At the very spot where the tailplane should be, the ancient carving is broken, suggesting it might once have had one. When engineers added the missing piece, the bird became perfectly stable, gliding like a modern sailplane. Could the ancient Egyptians have understood the principles of flight more than 2,000 years ago? Was this a scale model of a machine they once built, or planned to? If the Saqqara Bird and the helicopter carvings are part of the same story, then we might be looking at fragments of a technological legacy, one carefully hidden in plain sight. And when all these fragments are put together, the flight imagery, the Mars code, the aerodynamic model, the picture they form is far more unsettling than anyone expected. Climax/big reveal, the chilling connection. 3 clues. 3 different sites. Separated by centuries, yet bound by the same whisper from the past. The helicopter and submarine-like carvings of the Temple of Osiris. The cryptic 9-symbol code, linking ancient Egypt to the red sands of Mars. And the Saqqara Bird, an aerodynamic model that should not exist in the world of stone chariots and riverboats. Individually, each could be dismissed as coincidence. But together, they form a pattern, one that suggests the ancient Egyptians may have inherited, preserved, and deliberately concealed a body of knowledge far beyond their time. If true, these were not random decorations. They were instructions. A message encoded in stone, waiting for a time when humans could read the skies, split the atom, and launch ships into space. And perhaps that time is now. The number 9 could be a cosmic address. The helicopter and submarine could be proof of flight and underwater travel. The Saqqara Bird could be the first step toward understanding lift, drag, and stability. But if this was a message left for us, then someone had to leave it. Was it the Egyptians themselves, reaching further than we imagined? A forgotten civilization wiped from history? Or an older presence, one that came here long before our recorded time and left breadcrumbs in the only medium guaranteed to outlast empires: stone? And the most chilling question remains: if we've already unlocked part of their message, what comes next? For thousands of years, the tombs of Egypt have been treated as portals to the afterlife, gateways for the dead to join the gods. But what if they're also gateways for the living? Not to cross into another world, but to understand the one we came from. From the Temple of Osiris to the sands of Saqqara, we've seen carvings that look like modern machines, a mysterious number linked to Mars, and a wooden bird that could glide like an aircraft. Are these coincidences? Artistic imagination? Or fragments of a long-lost chapter in human history, one that someone, somewhere, wanted us to rediscover only when we were ready? Perhaps the walls of these tombs are still speaking, and we've only just begun to listen.